All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Intuition Health Show. It's been a few weeks, but very happy to be back and excited for this episode. We have an incredible guest, as always. Today, we are talking about learning the power of no, and just if you're a people pleaser, that we're going to try and help you, kind of learn how to handle that in a little better way, because that's something that I've actually struggled with myself. So I'm excited to talk to our guest, who is Pam Christian. And Pam is a mindset coach, a motivational speaker, a master Reiki practitioner, spiritual guide, author, and podcast host. So she does a lot of things. She's helping a lot of people out there. And we actually just connected on Instagram not too long ago. So I'm still learning about everything that she does. And so I'm excited to have Pam join us today. So let's get her in here. What's up, Pam? Thanks for being here.
How are you? Thank you for having me and hosting this awesome show. It's so great what you're putting out there.
Thank you so much. It is my honor. And yeah, so happy to have you on the show. Everybody, as always, stick around to the Q&A at the end if you have any questions to ask us. We're going to have a giveaway, as we always do. And you can pick out any of the books of mine. I'll send you an ebook. And then Pam also is going to offer a gift, a new book that she has out now. So Pam, do you want to just share a little bit about your book and kind of what's involved?
Sure. So basically, my book is kind of a part memoir, part self-help book. And the memoir is obviously my story. And it's heavy, but it's also light at the same time. And I think it's really interesting, actually. But you don't just want to hear my memoir alone. You want to know, based on all the things I've been through, what to do when you're going through similar challenges. That's the thing, because we all go through these challenges. And, some are more traumatic than others, but we're all going through life and it's not easy. So how do you navigate these challenges that come our way? And that's the part that I think makes my book a little different. I give you tips, tools, and takeaways, and you don't have to do everything at once. It's like all about baby steps, bite-sized pieces, get started. And a lot of times we fall off. And it's just when you remember, get back on. And I think it's really practical ways that you can apply to everyday life situations. So yeah, that's my book.
Incredible. All right. I look forward to picking that up. So thanks for publishing that. So it will be on Amazon.
It's on Amazon right
It's on it.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, a labor of love. I'm pretty vulnerable in it, and it's not an
Nice.
easy thing to do. But I think like when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we give everyone permission to allow themselves not even to be vulnerable publicly, but within themselves and acknowledge their own things that they're going through, which we kind of want to hide from because we think everyone's life is so perfect, or we allow ourselves to believe that even though we know it's not true. And then
Yes.
that makes us feel more insecure and not good enough with our own life. So I want people to know, like, I live a great life right now. It took me a long time to get here, and you too can get to that place.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, everybody out there, I'm excited for somebody to win that free copy of Pam's book. So definitely stick around and hold your questions for the Q&A round. And actually, if you put a question in, ahead of time, be sure to put the like 3 or 4 question marks in the chat before your question so that it's easy to pick back out. So there we go. All right. Well, as we do at every beginning of the show, I just like to get a little background and kind of story of each guest and kind of how you got to where you are today. So Pam, do you want to share just a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I got to where I am today with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. That's for sure. It was not
Nice.
an easy journey. And of course, I'm still on it. We're all still on it, and we're going to be on it until we're not here anymore. And that's the beauty of it. So we got to stay on this path. And again, going back to the other thing I was saying, when you fall off, get back on. But just a little bit about me. I've been on this journey for a long time. It's just that half the time I was on it, I didn't know I was on it. So I wasn't aware of it, even though in retrospect, when I was writing the book and thinking back to, lifetimes ago of mine, I was doing the work. I just didn't realize. And the work was, I was coming from such a deficit that the work didn't really seem like I was doing much of it, but I was. It was just that I was in such a bad place. Kind of had the traditional life, though I had a lot of trauma that I experienced, which you'll have to read the book to find out what it was. But I went through a lot of trauma. It wasn't an easy life, although from the outside, it looked very easy and it looked like, I had everything together and my life was pretty good. And I had this, I don't want to say it was one day because it was a culmination of things that I was like, this isn't working for me. Even though I've checked every single box, and I really have checked every single box, I was still left feeling like, wait, this is it. And this is what I was supposed to be doing. And this is what I was aiming for. And this is how I'm feeling. No, this isn't working. And when I allowed myself to feel that, and then also allowed myself to kind of accept it, because that's and be honest with myself about it, and be honest with myself that I was a big reason that I was in the place that I was in, that I was buying into societal norms and cultural norms and expectations. That's when I began to change it, and the change was very slow and it was over time. But doing the inner work brings you to a place where you can really serve the community and serve others. In the community, I mean my community locally and my community online. And so I've been working really hard internally on making a lot of shifts within myself so that I can be here for all of you.
Amazing. Oops. Sorry about that. There we go. Yeah, hit the wrong button.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Mute
So
me.
thank you for doing that. And yeah, I can relate to a lot of that, and really just doing my best to do the inner work and really find a way to be able to express the truest version of myself, without trying to put on the mask of trying to have that perfect life online. As you mentioned, everybody seems to have the perfect life online. So yeah, I think people need more examples and more teachings from people like yourself who have been doing the work and learning how to overcome some of these things.
And I think people don't even know what doing the work means. Like when we say that, we know because we're doing it, but people are like, doing the work? What are they talking about? What work? Is it homework? Is it mathematical calculations? But doing the work is really like getting to know yourself, because
Yeah.
we kind of have all sold our soul at different and varying levels, some in a very extreme way and some in a moderate way. But when you sell your soul and you conform, we're these unique beings. We were born as miracles and we're all different, but now we're all conforming to be the same kind of person. And when we do that, we lose the uniqueness within ourselves. So learning what that unique self is, and yours is different than mine, and mine is amazing and it's beautiful, and yours is just as amazing and just as beautiful, but you have to tap into it again. And in order to tap into it again, it's almost like you've built up a callus, and you
Mm.
kind of have to use a pumice stone and go at that callus over and over again, which doesn't feel great. No pumice stone feels great on a callus. And you have to keep breaking it down so that you can get to the essence of who you are, because it's just pure beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I always think back to the quote that I heard. I don't know who said it, but we're all born unique, but many of us die copies, right? So
Exactly.
so
Most of
yeah.
us.
Yeah. So that's what this show is for, guys. We're here to hopefully, share some inspiration on how to tap into that true authentic self and really embrace the uniqueness and the confidence to share your unique self and your message that you have within you. And so yeah, I'm excited to get into this topic discussion. So as I mentioned earlier, the topic is really, it's kind of like finding the power of no, but also just learning to how to better approach, the issue of people pleasing and the issue of being true to yourself. So, Pam, do you want to start us off with your first kind of point that you want to make on this topic?
Sure. So there are so many things to say about this, and we're going to get deep into it. But just as
Yeah.
an overview, um, A lot of us do not even know what our intuition is, what our inner voice is telling us. So we're just so busy saying, yes, yes, oh, I got to help this person. I got to help that person. We don't even realize what it's doing to ourselves. We think we're supposed to be saying this yes to other people. And when we do that, we drown out our voice because we might say to ourselves, okay, we're saying yes to go to this event, but we don't really want to go to the event. But we have to go to the event if we want to fit in socially, or if we want to be a good person to our friend, or this or that or the other thing. And as we do that, we dim our own light because we're dimming our intuition. We're dimming that inner voice inside of ourselves that's saying to us, no, we don't want to do this. And we're saying, that's okay. That voice is saying that, but I'm doing this anyway because this knows better. And so saying no gives us important feedback as we learn to trust our intuition again, connect with our values, and take better care of ourselves. And it allows us to honor our own voice. And we're not wrong if we don't want to say yes to something. We're not bad. It doesn't mean that we're bad people, but we think it does. So then we just say yes. And then we wind up feeling so empty and unfulfilled. Yet, why are we feeling that way if saying yes was the right thing to do? Because it wasn't. And it doesn't resonate with you. And you need to be authentic to your true self. And so it's just starting sometimes with little things and testing it out and getting comfortable with that no.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Yes. And no.
No.
I know it is. It's difficult to say no, right? I mean, I
Is
think
it?
well,
Is it?
it's thought to be, I suppose.
Is it delivery? Is it more like, can we say something like, let's set something up here. What's something that you have to do that you don't want to do right now?
Oh gosh. Well, I have to go trim the tree of a neighbor.
Okay. So, and you already said yes?
It's probably a bad example because I
Okay.
offered.
Well, basically, all right, sorry to put you on the spot. I'm not supposed to put the host on the spot here.
Right, right.
But like basically it's something like, okay, you're invited to a party that you don't want to go, but like your friend has really said it's important to them.
Yeah,
Listen, friend, I know you really want me there and I want to be there for you, but I am really not feeling it. I'm totally happy to meet you for lunch to celebrate your birthday. We could go for a walk. We can go out another day. I'm just not feeling it right now. It has zero to do with you. It's not that I don't want to be supportive, but I know saying yes and going will leave me feeling XYZ.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that is actually a common, like a very familiar situation for myself, and I have in the past always kind of just said yes, just to acquiesce the other person and make it less confrontational, I suppose.
But does it have to be confrontational? I think that's the thing.
Good point.
People think it has to be this thing that it really doesn't have to be. I know I show up for my friends. My friends also know they're not finding me at social events.
Right.
And it took a while to kind of train them or teach them that it had nothing to do with them. It wasn't personal. I'm just not, that's not my scene. And I don't want, I always leave those events feeling so empty.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I going to say yes to something to put someone else? My friends wouldn't want me to feel empty. They don't know that. So I have to explain to them. But in order to know to say no, you have to understand what works for you and doesn't work for you and where it's coming from. Why are you feeling that way? And then be vulnerable and share it with the people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I don't know if this is necessarily where mine stems from, but I think just from speaking to other people who have had similar experiences, and I'm sure you've talked to tons of people that have maybe this issue, but I think some people, even when it comes to like dietary circumstances, that's usually with the situation that I talk to people about, is they're kind of, they feel pressure, and this is actually kind of my one part of my first point that I'm going to make, is people feel pressure about eating certain things that their friends are eating or that their family is eating. And so I don't know if it stems maybe from like a fear of abandonment, or a fear of like being cast out of the group if they're not kind of doing the same things as everybody else. Do you see that situation popping up?
A couple of things. Yeah, of course. So first is, do you want to be in that group that you're going to be knocked out of if you're not conforming to the way they want to be? I wouldn't want to be part of that group, but that takes a confidence in yourself to say, you know what, I'd rather be alone by myself than with a group that's not going to accept me for how I eat. And I get the eating things, it's cultural and it's big, or for not being super social or anything like that. And then the other thing with food is, because I'm a big into food also, but like you, more health food. And I love it. And I love the vibe it gives me. And what I'm drinking right now, I think I mentioned to you, this is like a honeydew cut up and juiced. And it is so
Amazing.
good. And it's sweet. And when people tell us we can't have fruit because there's too much sugar in it, it's like, what? But that's a whole other podcast.
Yes.
So with the food thing is, like, often I'll bring my own food. I don't care. Like, I could care less. But what I find is that in the beginning, I did care and I did feel uncomfortable. There are a few things. One, you have your stomach. You just got off a stomach, like a stomach flu or illness or something like that, and you got to go real light right now. So you're going to bring your own thing. But the other thing is to really own it. People are curious. They're interested. They make you feel like weird, but they're like, also, what is she doing? What does she have? Why is her skin looking so good? I want to know more about that. But at the same time, they're scared. They don't want things to change, so they resist it. But a lot of that stuff is coming from within them, and you shouldn't be absorbing their insecurity or their fear around it or their judgment. Once you stand in your power and you own your own feelings about it, people are going to gravitate towards you and want your food.
Right. Okay. That is such a great point. I'm getting messages in the chat that the sound we're having some sound issues. I don't know why. My well, they're saying it's echoing. So here, let me see here. That's really strange. Sorry, guys. How about let me just check something. Oh, Valley says it's good now. Seems okay now?
Perfect.
Oh, I don't even think I did anything. All right. Sounds
Divine
good.
intervention. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Okay. JJ said it's delayed from when talking. However, now the sound is normal. Okay. Well, let us know if anything goes weird again. But I hope you guys could hear that, because that was a great point made by Pam. So, okay. All right. That kind of threw me off.
Are we good, or do you want me to like summarize that again, or they got it?
Kit. Could you understand what Pam just shared? Maybe just recap it, just
Okay.
like
So
really
basically,
quick.
I'll do it as quick as I can. But basically, the bottom line is, if you're going somewhere, you want to have your own food, you have a few options. One, just say you're coming off a stomach illness and this is what's comfortable for your stomach right now. Or eat before and say you had a stomach thing and that you're not going to really be eating, but you want to hang out. Have some drinks, get some tea, whatever. That's one easy option. The other, a more important one that you want to work towards, because this is about standing in your authenticity, which is the most important thing, is being okay with people looking over at you and wondering what you're doing. They're really curious. It's their fear that's making them resist it or judge it, or they don't want to have to make the changes, and they know they're good changes and they know you're doing something interesting. So it's all their stuff. But if you stand in your confidence with it and feel better, and you're going to start looking better, they're going to start being curious and asking you more questions. It's just about feeling empowered and allowing yourself to be okay, even if everyone else isn't understanding of what you're doing. And the first thing I said, which I don't know if you caught, which I think is the most important, is if people are going to push you away or not want you to be around because you're doing something different from them, do you really want to be with them? Is that your crew? Because I don't really think so, because that sounds very conditional. And I don't think that you really want to be with people who like you conditionally just because you've decided you want to have French fries instead of broccoli. Or broccoli instead of French fries. You get my point.
Right. Okay, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on, but they're saying there's no sound now. I can hear you.
You can hear it, okay? Because I'm looking at my thing. Yeah, I unmuted it just in case.
Okay, yeah, I everything sounds
I
perfect on
turned my
my end.
volume max just now, so how's that?
Is any can you guys hear me? Or is it just Pam or is it both of us? Ugh. I don't know. I don't know what's going
You
on
can
here.
hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear everything.
It,
Everything
okay,
looks
second.
good on my end. Um, Tessa says there's sound for her.
Oh, good. It's
Um,
on my end.
yeah, no, I think I don't know what's going on. Um,
Take
Naomi,
it.
you can hear both of us, or you can't hear both of us. Sound is back on now and sounds good at this moment. Okay. All right. Technology.
Double
I don't know.
test it with us.
Yeah, I don't know what's
We're
going
being
on.
tested. And that's
Yeah.
a good like segue. I'm not even talking about people pleasing and stuff like that, but just to jump in and not to hijack your show,
No, go for it.
happen all the time. And we just have to roll with it
Yeah.
and know that like we can't control this stuff. We can't, we have no control. And so instead of resisting or getting stressed out, kind of just finding your way to flow with it because
Yeah.
it usually winds up being awesome at the end of the day.
So true. So true. And that's something I thought about bringing as one of my points today. Was not taking life so seriously, and just realizing we're all here. We're just trying to have the best experience possible, and there's really no need to get so
Rip.
dependent on a certain outcome that you want, right? So yeah, yeah, it ties in perfectly to that, and that's a great point. So um, yeah, so I hope I don't want to make you repeat it for a third time, but
I'll tie it'll weave into all my other points anyway.
yeah, definitely. And I would love to get your feedback on my first point because it's actually very, very in line with what you just said. Um,
I
so
think it's
yeah,
that, sorry, go. No, you
no,
go.
are you sure?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So yeah, my first point was going to be kind of what I presented to you for that example is that since that's basically what I talk to people about is how to eat healthy and that sort of thing. A lot of the issues that I see people have and people have mentioned in the chat on various shows is that they struggle with the social pressures of when they're trying to eat healthy, they're around people that don't, and they feel the social pressure, um, and they end up saying yes to things that they normally would prefer not to eat, or it's something that they're not used to eating. Um, and so in my what I kind of look at it I look at it in this way. There's like you come up to a path, you're on a path, there's like three ways to go. I'm sure there's many more, but the three that I'm kind of looking at are, there's two ways you can go that are productive ways in this situation. So the one unproductive way is just to say yes and regret it later. But the two productive ways that you could take is one, you can do what Pam said just a few minutes ago. Hopefully you could hear her. Bring your own food, or just politely say no to eating whatever your group is trying to get you to eat. Because I think it's important to recognize that saying no is okay, right? I think a lot of people, again, they think that they're just gonna be abandoned, or people aren't going to like them if they don't say yes to these things. But you can say no. It's perfectly justified. You're very capable of saying no. You just have to understand that it's okay. And again, you can bring your own food if that makes it easier, like Pam said, and do it that way. Or I would say the other path that you could take is it's I don't know if they're even separate, but you can combine these if you want. But really, make sure that you have boundaries set for yourself, right? So I think most people, especially when it comes to like eating healthy diet, a raw vegan diet, in when I help what I help people with, and a lot of people are on this what I call a tightrope of compliance, right? They're on this, like, you see the what do they call it? Trapeze artists that are walking the high rope, and they've got this little tiny string that they're walking across, and it's like that's what it seems like people are doing when they're trying to eat a raw vegan diet in today's society. And they have one way that they're going to eat, and if the situation isn't perfect, it's super easy for them to fall off track and just kind of go down the deep end. And so what I try to encourage people to do is to be a little more flexible and set yourself up with some, reasonable boundaries that you are comfortable with, that are going to keep you on a healthy path, but you're not just so pigeonholed into one way that you have to eat that way or it's a failure, right? You can have a little flexibility with that if you want to make it sustainable. And that way you widen that tightrope into like a plank. And so now it's much easier to walk across, and you don't have to worry about the wind blowing you off, right? Any situation that might be out of the ordinary, hopefully won't knock you off, getting you go down to the drive-through. So that would be my suggestion, is to either say no and be confident in saying no, and do it in a way that is, respectful, and, doesn't have to be confrontational, like Pam said. And also, if you can set yourself up for success by having boundaries, think about what boundaries you want to put in your life, or in terms of your diet, or whatever situation it is. But have some boundaries that allow you a little bit of flexibility, that you can sway off of your perfect path a little bit, and it's not going to be, detrimental. Yeah. So that would be my first suggestion.
So, well, first of all, it goes into my second suggestion, but I
Nice.
won't go there. But boundaries is definitely tied into that. But just real quick to add to yours, because I like yours, it's the flexibility is huge with everything in life. You can't plan it. You have these like specific ways that you think things should go, but usually they don't go that way. But you still wind up having the same outcome you wanted at the end, but you kick and scream and cry through it versus just letting it flow. But also, like, I get not wanting to bring your own food. And those boundaries, when you're setting them, it's not even setting them necessarily with other people, it's setting them with yourself. So when you've accepted an invitation, I'm just going to use the food one right now because we're on that. And I guess
Yeah.
that's what your whole thing is about. Okay.
Right.
To go to dinner, and you guys are all going out to dinner, or you're going to like order in or whatever. Look at the menu in advance. Talk to yourself about how willing you are to veer off, if you're willing to veer off and be flexible at all. Understand what your goal is when you go out to this dinner. And then also, you could just get the same food as them, plus a raw salad, because I guess your thing is teaching people to be raw,
Yeah.
and push around the other food and eat the raw salad and have no conversation about it. You could eat before, you could order everything they order. You could be like, I have a stomach ache tonight. I didn't even realize it. I got here, my stomach's feeling weird. I'm not going to eat. There are so many ways. It doesn't have to just be, I know we're talking about saying no, but you don't have to directly say no. There are ways not to make a big deal of it, but the fear paralyzes us, and then we get in our head, and then we get anxious, and then we feel suffocated, and then we don't know what to do. So if you have these conversations with yourself and plan ahead, and don't go on autopilot and just show up at this place and figure out how you want everything to go, that's what you're going to manifest for yourself. If you're scared and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, there's so much pressure, I have to eat this. The other thing I want to say just about the food thing, which I'm sure you've covered many times, is if you do veer off, if you've decided consciously to be flexible, or you haven't, and then you find yourself eating all these things that you didn't want to eat, worse than eating those things that aren't good for you is the shame around that. So if you eat those things, let yourself off the hook and get back on whatever path you want to be on tomorrow. Don't beat yourself up, because the beating yourself up does more damage than actually eating the thing that you wished you hadn't eaten, if that makes sense.
Totally. Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you're totally right with point number one, your point number one, and mine.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah,
Um,
they were right in line.
yeah. So do you want me to do two?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So it's about boosting your confidence and feeling empowered. And that's my number two. And saying no is a way of setting boundaries, and boundaries always help you boost your confidence and feel empowered. It takes courage to say no and go against the grain and against the group. And oftentimes it's much easier, which is why you find yourself in that situation, even when it doesn't feel good to our soul and ourselves. And the thing is, we have to heal our souls and ourselves to get to this place where we can stand in our power. So it's like, all right, you have three things coming up. You have like a birthday party at work, you have a dinner that you have to go to, and you have a date or drinks and cheese or something like that. Choose one of those three, one where you're going to practice. And even if you don't do it exactly how you want to, small progress is progress, and any kind of progress is progress. And that's all we're looking for. Little bits here and there, they accumulate, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, who's that? Oh, that's me. I can't believe I'm that person now. And it becomes like magical, and it's almost fun. It's like a game for you. So that's my number two.
Love it. Yeah. The first channel that I had on YouTube was called Small Steps to Success. So I totally agree. Like coming up with, yeah, small things you can do to improve. You look back a year or even a month or, not that long, and you can see big changes. So definitely having small changes to make can make a big difference.
And at the end, when you're done with that one attempt, focus on what you did do, not what you didn't do. Because most of my clients are like, well, I didn't do that. And I know you wanted me to do this, or I was supposed to do that, or I should have done that. But you did do this. And that's what matters. Not all these things over here that you didn't do. The one thing that you did do. And when you focus on that, that starts to expand, because as you know, Wayne Dyer, what we focus on expands. And so when you're focusing on all the things that you didn't do, you're going to bring more of that into your life. When you focus on the thing you did do, even if it's like this, you're going to keep bringing more of that into your life.
Yes. Yeah, isn't it interesting how we tend to focus, like you could do 100 things right and one thing wrong, and if and people tend to focus on that one thing, even though there's so many good things to look at and appreciate about what they accomplished.
That inner critic, it's a saboteur. We don't tap into our leader within and the captain of our ship. We tap into the inner critic and what's wrong with me, not what's right. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, great point. Great point. And that does kind of lead into my second one as well. So we're on a same vibe here. I would say that I think people forget that they're not here to, or they think they're here to like please other people, right? Like you're not living your life purpose isn't to make somebody else comfortable, right? It's your life purpose is, as we've said, is to really find who you are. It's like to connect with your true inner being and be able to express that in the best way. So I think it's great to be flexible and accommodating for others, as long as it doesn't, come at the expense of, yourself and your happiness and, being true to yourself. So, um, definitely, do what feels good to you, but don't think that you have to always say yes to others, regardless if it's diet or anything else, just to please them if it's not something that you truly want to do. I'll give an example, and this kind of could have been an example when you asked me earlier for an example, but I remember back when this was probably 12, 13 years ago. My grandma had made some bread pudding, and it was like white bread and tap water, and those are some things that I wouldn't prefer to eat. And so I told her, sorry grandma, I don't want any. And she was like kind of offended by it. She loved when we would eat her food, and so I still just kind of stood my ground. I just let her know that I'm sure it's delicious, and I know that she put her love into it, and I'm sure it's a great bread pudding. But I just said I'm gonna pass today, and so just an example that I understood that my connection with my grandma was much more than eating her bread pudding, right? And so I think that's a great thing, is to find the connection you have with somebody or a group, and find, kind of like Pam was just saying, find the good things, find other things other than that one thing where you might not align, and focus on that. And yeah, I found that very helpful. So,
Yeah, and it's also just like with your grandmother, or if it's not about food, it's like, I know that that would taste delicious. It wouldn't feel good to me.
yeah.
I know going to this thing could be fun, but it's not fun for me. And you don't want me somewhere that's not fun. Also, when we say yes to people, not only that when it's not authentic, not only are we hurting ourselves, we're hurting them because we're not letting them see our true self, and we're wearing that mask, and we're not standing in integrity with who we are. And that's not only not good for ourselves, it's not good for the other people. You're short selling them,
Yeah.
and it's not fair to them. But I think that's a great example with your grandma, and saying like I know you put love in it, but I know I can get that love from you elsewhere too.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I wasn't always, that was kind of the beginning of when I was just kind of learning how to respectfully say no, and kind of honor what I truly wanted. Because years when I was younger, I would usually say yes to that. So I just think when I step back and I remember that, and I can't remember where I heard this from, but just understanding that your life purpose isn't to make other people happy. It's really to just really connect with what you truly want. Within reason. It's not just being selfish and things like that, but um, you know honoring yourself, and what feels right to you.
Well, being selfish, because I know people sometimes say, "Oh, you're supposed to do everything for yourself." That isn't your life purpose. That's the opposite of your life purpose. But when you're pouring from a empty cup because you've sold your soul and you say yes to all these things that don't feel good, you're not serving. I actually believe I am here to serve and be there for other people, but that doesn't mean saying yes. That means taking care of myself so that I can stand in my power in the best way possible, that I can be an anchor for everyone else who needs that. But if
Hmm.
I'm saying yes with all these things that don't feel good to me, I'm like a car with no gas sputtering along on the highway versus a full tank cruising on cruise control, just smooth. And so like, it's like people are always like that thing that you said about the selfish thing, like,
Hmm.
not that we're being selfish, it's that we're these unique beings, and we have to refill that part of ourself that we lost as we were trying to conform, unconsciously trying to conform, thinking that's what we were supposed to do. And then when you do fill your tank or your cup or whatever you want to say, you're actually able to be there for all these other people, and they are respecting you, and they are gravitate towards you, and you're actually able to help them, which is what we're supposed to do, because we're all supposed to help each other and just love each other.
Right. Agreed. Totally.
Okay, good.
All right. What do you got for number three?
And it kind of goes along with your number two,
Of course.
part of your number two. Yeah. So saying no reduces resentment. If you say
Mhm.
yes when you really want to say no, you end up resenting the person who made the request, even though they didn't push you to say yes. Well, sometimes they do, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. Now you're hitting on this person, all these kinds of feelings. But if you're a pleaser or someone who says yes, you're probably not telling them that you have these feelings. And it's building and it's wreaking havoc within your own nervous system. And then whatever's going on within your own self is then being projected out to the outer world, which is why we're in such a tough space in our world right now. Saying no can definitely be difficult, but it can also protect the health and the relationship in the long run. And it helps your self-esteem, and it allows other people to develop a respect for you that they can't if you're always a pushover and just saying yes. That was a long number three.
That's perfect. Uh, yeah. What do you think? Where do you think most of that stems from, in your experience, for people just um, you know allowing themselves to be pushovers in those situations?
A lot of things. Well, I think it stems from old wounds that we haven't healed, and we all have them. I think it stems from a deep feeling of wanting to fit in so badly, even though are you like, wait, what am I trying to fit into? do I even want to fit into this? We don't even ask ourselves. We just want to fit in so badly. I don't fit in. I don't mind that I don't fit in. I know
Yeah.
I'm different. I like being different. I like what I've created for myself. Are there times where I wish it were a little bit different? Maybe. I don't even think so anymore, but along my journey there were. But overall, you have to get good with yourself. The longest and most important relationship you're going to have is with yourself. So understanding, why do I want to fit in? Where did this come from? Was it that one time that that kid in fifth grade told me that everyone or that no one likes me, and all of a sudden on some deep level I told myself that's not true, and I'm going to show him, and everyone's going to like me, and I'll do whatever it takes. I don't know where that wasn't what it was for me. I know what my things are. Read my book and you'll find out too. But I know where my things are. But get to know yourself, start journaling, understand where this is coming from. This is deep, deep, deep inner work. This is the work we were talking about. And you can start the little things that we're talking about now, but that's going to be surface level and they'll be great. But if you really want the changes to occur, it's going deep and learning about yourself and understanding, how did I get this way?
Hmm.
What are the truths about myself that are things that I don't love about myself? When did I conform? When did I decide this is how I want to be? Is it still how I wanted to be? Where did I pick up this belief system that told me this? And maybe you'll say, yes, this is it. I love this. This is how I want to be. But great, at least you had a conversation with yourself about it and you decided to continue this way. No, I don't like this. Okay, what are some things I can do? How can I make these changes? How do I practice this? And then when you start doing that, whether it's with family members, friends, or anything else, the most important thing, delivery is everything.
Hmm.
You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be abrasive. You don't have to be defensive. It's thinking it out. How am I going to tell this person, no, I can't help my neighbor with the hedges tomorrow. I just can't do it. I know I said yes, and I need to get out of it. How do I do that in a respectable way? And
Hmm.
then practicing that on your own. So you develop these habits. It's exercising this muscle that we haven't exercised. So now we're just kind of like in default mode. Does that make sense?
100%. And it's kind of eerie that you mentioned the example of someone in fifth grade telling you you're not good enough or people don't like you. That was I had that exact thing happen to me in sixth grade, though. You're a year off. But
Oh, my intuition must be off.
I know. Yeah, that's one thing that sticks out in my mind that from my childhood, where I was like, oh, I wonder if that had an effect on me. So
I'm sure it did. And the thing is, that was your younger self that didn't know any better. But the real
right,
thing was that was that kid's issues.
yeah,
He was dealing with his wounds. He projected them onto you. And then your vulnerable and penetrable nervous system took it in as it was a commentary on who you were. And you didn't have the ability or the tools in fifth or sixth grade to say, no, that's not true, and talk yourself through that. Like if someone told you that today, it would be like, whatever, like, I don't know, whatever.
yeah,
But back then, we're these vulnerable little beings, and you didn't know how to do that. And so now it's going, I'm just making this one, using this one for all the people listening, going back to that original wound. But people are afraid to heal that original wound because they think that it's going to feel as painful as it did the day it happened. But you've accumulated so many other wounds and you've got this callus now, it'll never feel like it did that first time. So don't be afraid. Go slow, but go find those wounds within yourself so you can heal them and show up and live your best life for you, because we really only have this life and it's a short life and you might as well enjoy it.
yeah. So important to understand that. I mean, I've had some people in my family slash circle pass away in the last few years, and so it's just such a reminder that yeah, that we're only here for a very short time. It goes so fast, especially as you start getting a little older. Years go by
And losing
faster.
people, like you said.
Yeah, yep, exactly. It's such a reminder that like why live in a mind that tells yourself, that creates a reality that isn't enjoyable. So the more we can release and really become aware of some of that trauma that's keeping us kind of in a mental prison, they'll just let us enjoy this beautiful short life that we get to experience.
Yeah, and just two other things that I want to mention. One, I know I said this at the beginning, but like I was at that place. I was that person. I was so hurt and damaged and wounded. So I'm not just saying this without having gone through it all.
Hmm.
And the other thing is like in terms of, living that best life, whatever age you are right now, because life is so short. You as a coach or me as a coach, we can tell you that you are deserving, you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are amazing. But you won't believe it until you tell yourself that and you believe it. You might like hearing it from me or your partner or anyone else. Our ego feeds on that, but you're never going to resonate with it on the same frequency until you believe it for yourself. So your higher self, has to start talking to your lower self and reminding yourself, I'm not all these things that I've told myself I am. Who are you? Who is that amazing person in front of the mirror? And tell yourself every day. So that becomes the default, not what it currently is.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Do you have a favorite technique for kind of rewriting those subconscious thoughts?
I mean, I don't have a favorite technique. I have lots of techniques, and and everyone has their emotional toolbox that works for them. So what I have done along the years is I've taken everything. So whether it's from, high vibe food and juicing to standing in front of the mirror and telling myself how great I am, to listening to binaural beats on my headphones before I go to bed, to walking and exercising and movement, to energy work. I'm a Reiki practitioner. So like that type of stuff. There are so many different things. So you pick up these things and you put them in your mind, in your emotional toolbox. And year one, when you're starting this, you try, let's just say the Reiki. Well, you're probably not ready for the Reiki yet. So you tuck that away at the back of the toolbox. And maybe you're ready for a walk. So you go for a walk without music on, with music on, whatever it is. And you start having these conversations with yourself on the walk. And then year two, maybe you pull the Reiki out, but you put all these things. It could be essential oils. It could be talking to friends. It could be journaling. There are so many. It's mantras. Obviously, I haven't mentioned this one, but the biggest, actually, I can answer what my best one was, and it's meditation. But I think it takes a lot of people a long time to get there because there's so much noise and everyone thinks you're supposed to have peace and quiet in your head. And that doesn't come till much later on. And so, but there are so many different things, and it's making it fun, making it a game, enjoying it, trying so many different things out. And at different times, different ones are going to resonate. So when one doesn't work, don't say, oh, a cold plunge doesn't work for me. It's more like, okay, that's not working for me right now. I'm going to put that here and try that again in a few months. It still doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm going to put it here and try it in a few months and keep trying things and seeing. We don't know ourselves. And with social media and I mean, I have three kids in their, early 20s. I
Mm.
know what that is. And it's very toxic and it's not real. So you have to go back to the beginning and find out who you are and learn what you like and learn what you don't like and accept yourself because you are perfect as you are. You're perfect right now and you're perfect as you do the healing.
Mm.
It's just getting to that authenticity of who you are.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Great advice. Thank you so much. And really, again, of course, that leads into my next one. So my third and final one is to help people kind of get to this point that you're talking about. I think a great place to help you get there is to optimize your gut health. Because when you optimize your gut health, you optimize your cognitive function and your thought processes and how your awareness can pick up on some of these different things that you might have maybe fallen into, some of these poor thought patterns or habits that you have. When you fix the gut and you work on your elimination, you can make a huge difference. And I've talked about this many, many times, is my entire self view, just of myself, completely changed. Not to mention everything outside of me. But when I started to eliminate the toxic crap that was within me and I got my gut health to a very high level, my whole mindset, my whole outlook on life changed. And so that's how I started making a lot of the changes that I made when it came to my how I talk to myself, my people pleasing, honoring myself, looking to tap into my intuition and really embrace my intuition and use it to guide me to do things that I knew were going to get me to where I wanted to go. That's what I did, and that's how I did it. Is I started working on my gut health. And just, if you're the winner of the Q&A giveaway, my book 5-Star Digestion can give you some ideas on how I did that. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things I think that can be a help to get people to be able to start receiving some of these messages that we're sharing is, really work on that gut health.
Oh my gosh, I'm shook my head the whole entire time. I feel like I'm gonna fall off my neck. Seriously, though, that is so important for everything in life. And elimination, like I know we don't talk about that too much. I think it's becoming more talked about than it used to be. But like
Yeah,
there are things people, I have clients, it could be weeks before they go to the bathroom.
right.
Weeks. I can't even imagine like going a day.
I know.
Like it's so uncomfortable and we don't realize how much it affects our mood. And there are little things you can do, like even right now, if you aren't eliminating and you aren't going to the bathroom, aside from all the like juicing and the greens and just having water-based food, take some red mint sea salt, just like a teaspoon, put it in a big mason jar full of water first thing in the morning before you eat anything. Oh my gosh, you are going to be like, what just happened? Just make sure you're still home or near a bathroom. And it's going to start, we have pounds and pounds and pounds of impacted waste in our gut, and then it's healing the gut. So you, whether it's probiotics or sprout shots or fermented foods, and it's going slowly because you also don't want to activate and stir all this stuff up and it not release. So you
Right.
got to go slow and steady with it. So you're not all of a sudden like, and you might start seeing some things with your skin, like maybe you're getting a little bit of either acne or pimples, but it's part of the release, going in a sauna, doing things that help the glands release. Because yes, and it's not just the food and the toxins, it's the cellular memory of the trauma.
Mm,
And the trauma can be big things, but it could just be the way we talk to ourselves. And it's also about how our nervous system integrates the trauma. So our cells hold on to that. We need to like pull that out. So yeah, obviously I could talk hours about gut health.
I love that. Yeah, couldn't have said it better
That was a good
myself.
one. That was a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's elimination is one of my favorite things to talk about. So it's yeah, it's something I try and tie into everything. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
yeah. Okay. Well, that was an amazing topic discussion. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as I did. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and just inspiring people to really find ways to stop people pleasing and start looking, start honoring their true self and the intuition within them to help guide them to start living more authentically and in a genuine way that resonates with them. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me and putting this out there.
Of course. All right. And before we get into the Q&A, again, and it's going to be in the description box below, of course, but I forgot in the beginning to ask you to share where people can find you.
Okay, I think the best place right now is I took a few years off, but I'm back on Instagram
Nice.
at Pam Christian with two N's, just like this, but with two N's at the end instead of one. And whoever wins, just DM me your address because I'll actually ship you a hard copy book.
Nice.
But that's the best place. You can go to my website also, pamchristiangroup.com, and any social platforms really.
Okay. Awesome. And like I said, it's all linked down below. So anybody or everybody go click the links and follow Pam. Highly recommended. I love the clips that you've got on your Instagram. I still need to get into your podcast. I saw that you've got some great episodes on your podcast. So yeah, looking
When I get
forward.
back, I haven't done it in a while, but when I get back to doing that, we'll definitely have you as a guest.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, yeah, everybody go check it out. So it's on, I believe, Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, but yeah, I just haven't done it in a while, but yeah, it's on
Okay.
Spotify. Well, it's called The Juice, and it's good. It's really good. If I
Nice.
do
All
say
right.
so myself.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Cool.
Okay, so let's get over into the Q&A room. Everybody, put your questions in the chat box with any questions. And again, thank you everybody for being here. It's so great to see you all again after a few weeks off. We got JJ, we got Valley, Annie, Tessa, Sherry, Mallory. Thank you everybody for being here. Naomi, yeah, and Naomi says. That's so true, Matt. The gut health. I felt already so different after a few colonics. Yeah. Are you into the colonic thing?
One of my closest friend is a hydrocolon
Oh,
therapist.
very cool.
Anyone who lives in the Northeast, DM me. I'll give you her information. Linda Strobeck. She's amazing. And yes, I think it's like so key.
Yeah, agreed. That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Sherry said, just finished reading The Compound Effect, and it was all about that. Really great advice. Thank you, Sherry. I haven't read that one, but I'll be sure to put it on my list. Let's see. Naomi said, "I try to be the example. I work at a reception, and the first thing my colleagues do is seeing what I bring that day. Sometimes it's a whole watermelon, and they laugh at it, but they're also curious. So I have that exact same experience, Naomi. So I definitely know what that's like. Yes. Okay. Well, everybody, put your questions in. I don't see any actual questions yet, but I hope they'll be pointed now. I guess I can just start us off with a quick one. I'm not that familiar with Reiki. Can you just share kind of what's involved with it and how you go about practicing that?
Yeah, sorry about my dog in the background, you guys.
I couldn't even hear
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool.
it.
It's an energy healing, and I use Reiki as well as tuning forks and sound bowls with my clients. And basically, our chakras are an energy system. It's a wheel. We have a bunch of different chakras. I won't go through all of them right now. And a lot of ours aren't firing and they're not working. And so most people's heart chakras are closed, but they're your third eye, your crown, your throat, your solar plexus. And I'm blanking, your root. And I said I won't go through all of them, and now I'm going through all. Anyway, so basically, the Reiki is like you'll go on like a massage table, and I will take an assessment of where I think the person's what chakra needs work, and work on that through energy work. And you can do it remotely or you can do it in person. And I use my tuning forks with it, and like I said, my sound bowls. And people, generally speaking, feel a lot better afterwards. It's just an old modality that people aren't using anymore or haven't been using for a while, but now people are getting back to it because the more traditional modalities aren't really working for people because they're not looking at the more root cause of what's going on. And a lot of people are just not feeling well because they're really hurting. They've just been taking it, grinding. So their adrenals are burnt out, their thyroid's burnt out, all these things. And through energy work, we can heal a lot of that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I was a little familiar, but that clears it up. So that's really cool. I should look into your services. It sounds really
Definitely.
healing. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see here. Oops, I tried to type in the chat any questions, guys, but I had a typo there. But yeah, so far nothing has come in. We have a very non people pleasing audience. Apparently, everybody's got this down.
Everyone's perfect. No one needs it.
Yes.
You can ask a question about something else.
For sure. Yeah. Any questions, guys? Any questions about anything?
You're showing up for yourself right now by being there, so you might as well ask.
Exactly. Yes. Now is the time to get some free advice. So I would definitely take advantage. Let's see here. So, I can come up with another question, I suppose. Oh, there we go. Maria, thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes, Maria says, how to set up the line between being selfish and standing your ground.
I mean, it's really, do you want to answer that or was I answering?
No, go for it. Oh, it's all you.
Okay. I mean, it's really understanding where you're coming from. So are you coming from a selfish place? Is this more of a place of like, I'm doing what's right for me? And I know sometimes when I do what's right for me, it might affect other people in a way I wish it didn't. Or is it like more like, I don't care about that person? And so where's your heart? That's what I always go to. What is your heart telling you? And if you're coming from that place, and that's why I feel like for the most part, when I say no to people, everyone knows that I just want to serve and be there for others. So when I say no to people, it's because it doesn't feel right for me. So you have to tune into yourself because that's what's going to emanate outside of you. That's what's going to come through to others. So really understanding yourself, and that's that self-awareness. That's everything. It's almost like being a witness to yourself. So when whatever the thing that you want to say no to is coming up for you, it's taking inventory and stock of what's coming up for you. Is this a trigger? Is this because I know it's best for me not to? Is it because I'm mad at this person and I want to hurt them a little bit? What is happening? Sorry. So yeah, that's the thing, the answer I would give.
Yeah, great,
Clearly.
great answer. Um, Tessa says, "Thank you for the question, Tessa." Tessa says, how might you, Pam, respond to somebody who says that's a really unbalanced and unhealthy diet? So I think she's referring, my community here is more towards the raw vegan side of things. So she's saying that's a really unbalanced and unhealthy diet when she tells them about her way of eating. How would you respond to that if you were her? She's asking.
Of what I like to respond is no one asked you, but
Yeah, right.
I don't remember asking, but thank you. I'd say, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know you were so, I wouldn't like, what would the word be? I was going to say educated, but so informed on this diet. What do you know about it?
Mm,
Where did you learn that? And I'd come from curiosity first, to hear what they have to say, and then be like, that's really interesting. That's what you know. I would love to share with you what I learned and how it's working for me and why I've chosen this.
yeah. Yeah, great advice. Putting it back on them to explain why they're making that claim, I think is a great way to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. And whenever someone says anything about anything, I always try to come from curiosity. I know that there are so many different lifestyles and diets for different people.
Yeah,
And who are you to tell me what's going to work for me at varying times in my life? But
right.
I do always like to know, where are they coming from? Where did they even get this information? And then they have to self-reflect and think about it. And they're like, yeah, this. And it's like, oh, okay, well, let me teach you now.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Uh-oh. Annie just said no sound. I wonder what's
Oh,
going on.
no.
Hopefully, could anybody else hear that?
I'll give it again if not.
Okay. Yeah, everything is running perfectly from my end, so I don't know.
Are they not hearing me or you? I haven't touched anything on mine.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm not sure. She didn't say. Let's see. There's another question, but I'm gonna wait to know if people can hear us. Mallory says
Sure.
now I can hear her. There was just a lag between Matt and Pam. Now it sounds good. Okay. So did the last answer come through? Annie says everything sounds good now. Did you guys hear the last answer? It's always weird waiting for them to answer.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, haven't heard back. So let's just go on to the next question, assuming they could hear us. And if they didn't hear us, somebody just let us know, and we can go back to that. So the next question from Naomi is: I have a question. I am raw for about half a year now, and everything changed for the better. Hormones, my energy, even my teeth. Is it normal that the digestion takes this long to normalize? You want me to take that
I
one?
would say, oh, okay, sorry.
Or
I would say
oh,
so.
yeah.
I think personally it could even take longer. And your body's acclimating to, I don't know how old you are, but let's say you're 30, 40, 50, whatever year you are. You've been doing something for 20, let's say you're 30. 29 and a half years one way, you think 6 months is going to change everything. And that's not just about food. That's what I say to my clients about their mindset and everything in life. Everyone not that you, I'm not saying this directed towards you, but everyone wants this quick fix. And for as many years as you've been doing something the opposite, maybe we don't need to give it that many years to shift it, but we need to give it time. I also find that for my gut, there's a lot of hormonal stuff as a woman that is attached to it. So even sometimes when I'm eating super clean, if it's, time for my cycle or something like that, my gut gets disrupted, and I'm eating clean and I'm doing everything I can do and it still gets disrupted. So it's being patient with it. And kind of also, you could track some things when you're not feeling well, kind of understand what you were doing days leading up, because even if you're being a raw vegan, you might have had something that you're not usually having that's disrupting it. So really getting fine tuning those little details.
Yeah, 100%. And everybody could hear the last answer, so
Great.
perfect.
So I don't have to repeat it.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, let's see here. All right. No additional questions. Does anybody have any last questions before we, so we're at, let's see, we're at 12 or 110 for the East Coast. Oh, Naomi says I'm almost 44. There you go.
Oh yeah, then I think so. Plus I just I'm in the same age range, and like we're in a stage of life where our hormones are actually shifting. So no matter what we're doing, our body is taking on a life of its own. And the fact that we're doing all the good that we're doing is definitely helping it. But you're still going to have moments where it's just, you could be doing everything right and it's still not going to be feeling great. And of course, I mean, I know you teach this and everyone knows this, but water intake and quality of the water is huge when your gut isn't feeling well. Even more important when you feel like some dysbiosis, to be drinking water and make sure it's really good water.
Agreed. Could not.
What a privilege for us to have, right?
Yeah. Oh man. That's one of the biggest things I see is people not realizing, that people are somehow still drinking tap water. And they're wondering why their gut is messed up. Not that that's the only reason, but it's definitely not helping anything. So
yeah, and one recommendation on that is the night before you go to bed, this isn't about tap water, but assuming you're not drinking tap water, before you go to bed, on your bedside table, having whatever your jar is, people have all their different types of water, make sure it's not plastic. But
right.
having a big thing of water and not leaving your room until you finish it. So you're washing your face, you're stretching, you're doing your routine, making sure you try to get 30 ounces of water in before you start your day. Because one, that kind of wakes you up and your system up, but two, you're already ahead of the game because we tend to lag as the day goes on. You've started yourself strong.
Couldn't agree more. Yep. That's exactly what I do as well. I got a big glass, a big mason jar full of water first thing, and I always finish that before I do anything else. So such good advice. Mallory says, any thoughts on determining your own values versus others' values? I try to think about that when I'm not people pleasing. Just that their values are different from mine, but determining our own values is important.
So I would ask yourself what your values are. I know my values. I mean, some of my values are being a good person. That's so important to me. Being a good mother, good parent, and putting good out in the world. And I have a lot of other values, but knowing what they are. And you might not know that because we've been so dumbed down to not even be thinking about values anymore. So really, that's the journaling again. Your prompt can be, what are my values? Getting to know them again. And also your values can change just like your belief system can change. Your parents' values might have been, let's look good to the outside world. Who cares what happens inside as long as everyone thinks we're great? Well, is that your value too, or no? And then learning what your values are. And then when you start to learn them and write them down, after that, start reading them each day. And then as you start to read them, you live in them and you think you're going to be different from everyone else, which you are. Again, I'm going to repeat this because it goes for all these types of things, but you are going to be different, but people are going to gravitate towards you. They're going to come to you. They're going to lean on you. You're almost going to be like a mentor to them because people are afraid to step up and do this work and do this stuff. So when you start living from that authenticity, those values, people are going to really like that. And that's not even the goal here, but it's an added benefit because then you can share that and it starts to have this ripple effect, which is what everything is about. Like when I interact, I'm going off the value thing for a second, but when I interact with people, how I always, well, I guess it is a value. How am I going to leave them feeling? And then when they go to where they're going, is that going to carry on so that whoever they go connect with, is that going to carry on so they then leave the next people feeling even better? And that's the collective conscious, and that's our power. But if we're eating whatever low vibe food and we're irritated and our gut isn't in a good place and we haven't gone to the bathroom in a week and we're going out and we get in a fight or we're annoyed at someone or something, that's what that person is now carrying to where they're going. And that's why the world is the way it is right
Mm,
now.
yeah, totally. I know everybody is so constipated. I mean, can you think of a better reason why that might be with how the world is with everybody being constipated?
I mean, it's really hard literally, but like
Exactly.
it's all about releasing. And you know what? We're so afraid. We think our grip, we're holding on so tight to our thoughts, to who we are, what we are, where we want to be. But like we said at the beginning, we have no idea. The outcome's going to be the outcome regardless. It doesn't mean we can't have any influence over it. We can, but we can't grip so tightly thinking our direction is the best direction.
Yeah.
Because most of us are coming from that direction out of fear, not out of here. Opening your heart. Like try it today. When you're out or when you talk to someone on the phone, try to show up differently. Even if you already show up differently, just practice this. Try to show up a little differently. Say, I love you when you get off the phone. Say, I hope you have the best day. If someone calls you complaining, this would be a no. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to take it on. I'm really sorry you're going through this. I'm going to send you so much love and healing energy. I hope you go and give yourself a good day today. You deserve that. That is going to change what's going on in this world, one person at a time.
Agreed. Great, great advice. All right, Annie. Annie says, any advice on not being judgmental to your family members eating so unhealthy? I need a different mindset because they don't want to change.
I think a few things. One, when we're judgmental to others, we're usually judgmental to ourselves. And you might not be judging yourself on your diet because all of a sudden you've got this cool raw diet and you're like, I'm the best. But you probably judge yourself on other things because you have to look inside of yourself. Why do I hold this judgment? Obviously, you don't want them eating that way because you care about them. You want them healthy and it's coming off judgmentally. But if you just show up and share, so like you're at a meal with them, whether you're bringing your own food or you're ordering a little differently from them, talking about it a little bit, but also understanding that they're at that place that they're at and telling them that that food sounds delicious too. That's not really answering your question. I'm realizing as I'm saying it, I think the thing is before you go out with them, it's saying to yourself, how do I want to show up for these people? Do I want them to be eating differently? Do I want them to be eating better? And do I want them to feel better? Is me projecting judgment internally or outside and literally saying stuff to them or acting a certain way towards them going to help them get to a better place? Or is me leading by example going to help them get to a better place? And of course, it's leading by example. And I really do think it's looking within yourself. What are you judging within yourself? Because usually when we feel a certain type of way about other people, it's because of the wounds again inside ourselves that haven't healed. And they might not be directly correlated again. So yours might not be food, but you might have other judgments towards yourself.
Love it. Okay. Well, that is the last question. So
Thanks
thank
for
you.
rallying and putting some questions together.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. That was terrific, and thank you, Pam, for the incredible wisdom and advice that you shared today. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, before we sign off, let's do the quick scroll through the chat. As you guys know, I still haven't set up my automatic name picker yet, but we're just gonna use my mouse and let it scroll through, and we'll let it just stop there. And it is on Mallory May. Mallory May, you are the winner of today's giveaway. So you're going to get a copy. I'm not sure if I know you have some of my books, but if you don't have one of my books, I'll send you an ebook for free there. And you're also going to get Pam's incredible new book. What is it called?
I hope you're having a great day. I know I am. And it's called
Nice.
that because every day we get to have a great day. It's just up to us. You could be going through whatever you're going through and decide it's going to be a great day, like today.
Sweet. I love the title.
You got me your
And
address.
yeah, all right. Well, Mallory, send me an email at matt@myrawintuition.com to get my book. Do you want me to forward that to you, or do you just want her to email you directly? Doesn't
Me?
matter. Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Okay.
As long as I get like a place to send it to, I'm good.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we'll work that out. Yeah. Um, just email me, Mallory, and I'll forward your email on to Pam. That works, right? Okay. So perfect. Thank you everybody for being here again on this Sunday, and again being involved in the conversation. We really appreciate it. Join us. There's no game show this week, unfortunately. But if you want to be on the game show, anybody out there, just send me an email as well. Let me know you want to be on the game show, and we'll get one of those set up. We do have, I think Music Monster Man offered to be on the show. So if anybody wants to go against Music Monster Man, let me know, and I'll come up with some questions for you guys. All right. Thank you again, everybody. And thank you, Pam. Again, everybody, go follow Pam. I got the links in the description box down below. So follow all of her resources and get some value there. All right. We will catch you next time, and always follow your raw intuition.